Jamie Dimon had some choice words for Sandy Weill, his former mentor. At least that's the way we interpreted it. He announced a big management restructuring at J.P. Morgan, but there was some subtext to it that came out in the wake of all the discussion about breaking up the banks. Anthony, let's talk about the management changes first. Some unusual moves, some expected.
Yeah, well, I mean, they'd already given a bit more power to a couple of people we'd identified as potential longer-term successors to Dimon. So Matt Zames, who took over at the Chief Investment Office where all the money was lost.
Right.
And then
Mike
Kavanagh, who was the former CFO. He's been with Dimon for years, I think actually since the old
and these two guys were
days.
sort of given responsibility for
given extra responsibility
for
cleaning up the mess. Yeah.
So there was some sense that these were now the new kind of
guys and that's now been basically written in stone, because Kavanagh has now been made co-CEO of the newly renamed Corporate Investment Bank, which puts together his unit, Treasury Services, the Investment Bank, and the Global Corporate Bank. So all three are put together. He's a co-head from the Investment Bank as well as come up from fixed income. But Kavanagh is the one who wins out in that one, I think. And the guy who's been pushed aside is Jess Staley, who just, 3 years ago was brought in after they kicked out Bill Winters. And the idea there being, well, Bill Winters is too old to be my successor.
Pushed up to be chairman and no longer in the hunt, really, to replace.
Well, yeah. I mean, when's the last time you've seen someone been made chairman of a unit and then go on to be in a much bigger influence in the company? It's a rarity. It does.
And then the other sort of odd bit was Doug Braunstein, the CFO, all of a sudden is no longer reporting to Jamie Dimon.
Yeah, that's
very odd setup.
Zames is getting a promotion to become co-chief operating officer. That's right. So, and the CFO now reports to him, which is, you're right, it's very bizarre. Normally, the CFO is one of the top 5 people in the company and reports directly to the CEO. Almost always reports to the CEO. So it almost looks like they've got 2 CFOs now.
Right. But of course, the underlying message to all of this, as the headline of this press release says, J.P. Morgan Chase further unifying businesses.
Yep.
2 days after we've had Sandy Weill come out and say, let's separate these businesses, and that's really, I think, the message that comes out.
Yeah, and obviously this didn't happen on the fly in 48 hours, but you can always change a bit of language here and there, and it does sound as if they're blowing a great big raspberry at Sandy Weill, who of course used to be Jamie Dimon's mentor until '98 when they had a really big bust up. I think after Dimon had fired Weill's daughter. And there was a big, almost a punch-up actually at one of the investment banking events with the
what this really does is ultimately sets up the fight between, this renewed fight, this new argument, debate about breaking up the banks. Jamie Dimon has unsurprisingly sort of staked out his
absolutely. Although, I mean, you could also argue that the board is out of hand in this, because the fact that Jamie Dimon didn't have an obvious natural successor, there were people who might have taken the job, but by promoting these guys, he's made it look as if it's more obvious who he and or the board thinks taken over. So it could actually be that the board is giving Jamie Dimon a little bit of stick here. But no, as we've seen before with Bill Winters and others, I mean, just because he's put these guys in this position doesn't mean they're going to stay there.
It could always change.
I mean, Dimon wants to stay there for many more years, he keeps telling us.
That's what he says.
Who knows what happens next?
We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll be back with more Breaking Views tomorrow.